Welcome to Homeschool Moms Unfiltered. We are your messy, imperfect homeschool mom friends. I am your host, Megan, and this is my amazing co host.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
Hello and welcome. So, all right, we are going to be wrapping up 2024 with some short but sweet episodes. And this one is going to be on reading challenges. And we just wanted to pass along some ideas that might be fun ways to implement reading in your household in 2025. We would be remiss if we didn't mention that our book club, which starts back up in a couple of weeks, and we would love for you to read along with us. You can usually find our next book on Instagram or Facebook. But truly, the thing is, you don't even have to read the book to be in our book club. Like, we show up, we talk about the book, and we post our feelings in an episode about it. So if you just want to tune in while you're folding laundry, you can. If you want to read along with us, that works too. And if Amanda has forgotten to post the book in the chat, I feel so bad like calling you out for that because I always forget to post the chapter breakdown. So, we're sometimes it's on the rails, sometimes it's not. Let's just go with that, right? You can totally send a DM and remind
We
her,
did say
hey,
messy and imperfect.
true story, right? So you can totally send a message and remind her that you need a link to the
Yep.
book, and you can totally tell me that you have no idea what chapters you're supposed to read. We'll all get there in the end. It's a team effort. We'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. So, reading challenge suggestions. I think these are really fun. So we do read a lot. I know you guys do in your house as well. And some of these suggestions are things that I totally hadn't thought of, and some of them are ones that we have definitely done. So, what's your first suggestion, Megan?
So my first one is a read the alphabet challenge, which is super fun. And I'm a little bit of a control freak about my book selections. So I've never done this one, and I really should challenge myself to do it in 2025. But basically, you just start at the beginning of the alphabet and continue reading until you get to the end. So your title of your first book would begin with the letter A. The title of your second book would begin with the letter B, C, so on until you get to the letter Z and you've read through the entire alphabet. I feel like it really pushes you outside your comfort zone, especially when you're at some of those oddball letters like Q and Z, to try and find a book that fits it and probably find something that you wouldn't find ordinarily and really expand your horizons with a different book.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I bet you could do it with author names too. You could make it the first or the last name with the alphabet. That'd be like
Mm-hmm.
an extra challenge, like the super challenge version. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
interesting. That's
I
fun.
like that.
Okay, so the next one is good, especially for like younger kids if you want to really encourage them to like dive into picture books. But you can do it with all ages, right? Just, make sure your older kid doesn't cheat with a bunch of 800-page books. But it's read your height. So the goal is to read enough books that stack up to whatever your height is, ideally to go over your height. And so this is a super open, you can make one of those little things that you kind of keep on the wall and just kind of be marking off. You can draw the little lines and put the titles on there and just keep track. So once you've gotten to that point, and if you're doing it as a family, put it down the hallway or something like that, where you're all kind of keeping track of the different books you're reading and have fun. Make it a fun thing.
I feel like if you're like in the teenage years and you're so close to hitting your goal, and then you have one of those massive growth spurts where you like shoot up 3 inches overnight, you're like, oh my gosh, now I got to run out and get a book, right? Like, like darn it, I was so close. um, the next one is to create a reading journal. And I've seen some really fun templates online that you can print out where you put the name of the book and you give it 5 stars or 4 stars, or you kind of color them in. Some of the templates have a little thing where you can print off a miniaturized color copy of the cover and glue that into your journal. And then, journal what you liked about the book, what you didn't love about the book, and things like that. And to just kind of look back because I think sometimes you look back towards the beginning of the year and it feels like light years ago. And you realize, holy cow, I've read so much during the year and that feels like so long ago. So it's kind of nice to have that visual representation of what you've accomplished.
Yeah, that is fun. Not really my style. I'm terrible at journaling, as we've talked about, but I could totally see how I have some friends that would really dig that.
Mm-hmm.
So my next suggestion is book bingo, right? You can create a bingo card with various criteria. And that can look whatever you want it to look like. It might be one square is read a graphic novel, and one square is read a book of less than 100 pages, and a book of more than 300 pages, listen to an audio book. It can include whatever you want, and you just start out by working towards a bingo. Then eventually you're working towards a whiteout, and just that bingo gamified version of a reading challenge might work really well in your house, especially if you have readers who are not quite as excited about this idea of a 2025 book challenge. We have a couple examples. We will try to remember to put them up at around the same time so you can have a visual and kind of get your brainstorming going.
Absolutely. All right, the next one is really fun, which is, and we'll post a link to some of the options that we found online, but a decolonize your bookshelf reading challenge, which is amazing to bring in different voices, different cultures, different authors, and to really break up the voices that you're reading on a day-to-day basis by kind of diversifying your authors, your storylines, the locations and settings for your stories, the world experience, the life experience, the history that's coming into those books through those authors' experience. So we'll share some links for that, but the classics, everybody in the homeschool world loves to talk about the classics. P.S. I am not a classics fan. There's enough focus about books written by old white guys. Like let's shake things up a little bit. Let's decolonize that bookshelf in 2025.
Yeah, I love that. We try really hard to make sure we read a lot of the classics and we incorporate that in our homeschooling, but we also make sure that there's a lot of own voices and different perspectives and covering kind of all of the social issues in our novels and our reading. So I think that's a great one. Okay, so my next two recommendations or suggestions are more like a book a month. So you can be doing your other reading, but each month you have something that you're going to try to make sure you squeeze in or you fit in with your other reading. So the first one is a genre journey challenge. So the idea would be you would have a list of 12 styles. So for example, you might do sci-fi, magical realism, historical fiction, coming of age, mystery, contemporary fiction, biography, poetry, young adult, nonfiction. And so you're going to have one that you pick for each month, and then you can pick whatever you want, but it's really going to kind of push you outside of what you normally read. And really just encourage you to check out a new type. Maybe it encourages you to go to a new bookstore or to strike up a better relationship with your librarian. But yeah, just really kind of push you past your comfort zone for 2025 in your reading.
I don't like that one bit. I like my comfort zone. It's very comfortable there in my historical fiction land. I'm like, you want me to read sci-fi?
Well, so you don't have to go on a genre journey.
I'm happy in historical fiction land. Every once in a while, I read a biography, okay? All right, so next suggestion is a read around the world challenge. So pick a number of books, right? Whatever it might be, 50 books, 100 books. Some of that'll depend on the age of your learner and how long the books are, right? But pick a number that's not too comfortable, but not too unattainable, right? Like something that's a stretch goal. Then read a book that is set in a different country until you've hit your number goal. So you might read a story about, what's that book? It's got night in the title. Oh, goodness. Children whose parents have passed away in India and they work in the garbage picking piles and things like that, right? Like that would be a story. Then you might read some Jennifer A. Nielsen, who's got books set in Berlin and in France during World War II and during the Cold War, right? Bounce around in all those different places and really start to get a feel for different periods in history, different geographic locations through the Read Around the World challenge. It'll be fun.
Yeah, that does sound fun. So my last recommendation is the Friend and Family Recommendations Challenge. So this was really popular on social media last year. I do not see why you can't ask them, your friends and family, for recommendations again this year if you already did it. And if you haven't, by all means, give it a try. So what you do is you basically just on social media, or if you're not on social media and you want to send a text message or something like that, You kind of just say, hey, tell me your favorite book or your top 3 books that you read. And you were like, yeah, this book made an impression. And then you create your own little calendar with recommendations from your friends and family. This is another one of those. It may push you outside of your comfort zone. You're probably going to have friends who were like, oh, this was a really awesome book and it's not historical fiction. And then you're like Megan and you're going, why am I reading smut? This is not my genre. Um, but it's a great way to connect with people. And like I said, it was super popular on social media last year. My friends are still kind of posting like, oh, I finished my 11th month of the friends and family reading challenge. So give it a go.
Nice. That does sound like fun. I like it. My mom and I share an Audible account, which is not illegal in any way because my parents have lived with us for in same household as the Amazon rule. But yeah, we both enjoy the same kind of stuff. So I'll go into Audible to see what's new. She gets the daily deals and the book club and all that kind of stuff, and will like download all kinds of new stuff. So I get my friends and family recommendations downloaded directly into my Audible, which is pretty handy. So
I laugh because Winston and I share an Audible account or a Kindle Unlimited account. And my 10-year-old is still very much at the point of like, oh, why I don't want a book with kissing. And then I've got like pretty hardcore smut. Like we're not doing like closed door business over here. There's no point in that. I'll always be like, did you get a bunch of new books? Like, yeah, just scroll past them. Your new Lost Cities is in there. It's fine.
So I have a kiddo who enjoys reading fantasy, YA fantasy, the kind, when you go into the YA section and there's little stickers on the outside of the books, right? This will be like the sci-fi has the planet, and then like the YA usually has like a unicorn or something, or the fantasy has like a unicorn and stuff. And like he scans the shelf and looks for those unicorn books, right? So we moved at one point, I think it was when we moved to North Carolina, and we were trying to figure out the new library system. And he had typed in fantasy like on the computer to try to search for something, and oh my goodness, the results that he got back were not the YA fantasy books about dragons that he was hoping for. It was quite an eye-opening search result
No,
for him.
a lot of fairy smut. Yeah.
We were laughing so
Dragons and fairies.
So maybe that's a book challenge for you. I like it. We were talking the other night in our Patreon Mom's Night Out about having like affinity groups for people who love historical fiction, right? And you could come together and swap books and discuss books and stuff like that. So it might come in the future. You never know. I like it. Well, that just about wraps us up for this Unfiltered Bite. However, speaking of Patreon, we wanted to remind you that our memberships are on sale. It's the holiday season, and you're out there taking care of everybody else and making sure everybody has the gifts they need and the foods they want and all that kind of stuff for your celebrations. And you deserve a treat too. So through January 4th, 2025, our memberships are 50% off your first month. You can use the code BITE50. BITE 50 at checkout. There's a link in the description below that will give you that coupon code, give you a link for how to find our Patreon, talk to you about the amazing benefits of joining our Patreon, etc., etc., etc. So we would love to welcome you there today. But that is all for us. So also come join our Facebook group, Homeschool Moms Unfiltered on Facebook. We can continue talking about ways to make reading fun and homeschooling and life in general. So we hope to see you there. In the meantime, happy homeschooling.
Yeah, have a great one.